Hey, what's up, everybody? The VC here, coming back at you with another video. It's about anything and everything. Nothing's off the table, and as always, I'm off the cuff. So you just never know what may fly out my mouth. I might fly off the handle. You just never know. But I'm here, and we flow. So let's go, and let's talk about it. All right, another day, and man, fascinating stuff that goes on. All right, and subscribe, all right, to my channel, whether it's YouTube, Rumble, or both. Either or. I play it on both just because try to expand my horizons. Plus, Rumble is unfiltered and uncensored versus YouTube, where they try to just really get you for little things. It's kind of annoying, but I just roll with it anyways. But let's talk about it, man. Some stuff is going on in the last couple of days. We all know about Zelenskyy and issues with Zelenskyy, issues with the LA wildfires, issues with everything that's going on. What are we going to talk about here? All right, let's talk about Zelenskyy. All right, so it's funny. After Zelenskyy got booted out of the White House, right? Um, to kind of just say, hey, wake up. Do you know what you're saying? Wake up. Come back to us when you're ready to sign a deal because you're like thinking too much. You're coming at us almost like demanding protection. And it's like, I mean, in a sense, we really have no vested interest. Yeah, the minerals are minerals because we're just trying to recoup some value back of the billions we gave Ukraine. But at the same time, Ukraine's really nothing to us. Like, what do we have vested in Ukraine that is of anything that we care about? You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't need Ukraine. And so I think that's the message that we need to send Zelenskyy, that we don't need him and we don't give a fudge about him. All right, and that's the message that Trump was trying to send, that hey, you could come at us with all these demands disrespectfully and keep pushing for it and try to like not go with a deal that was supposedly supposed to be signed. That's fine. You could try to strong arm and leverage all you want, but you're just a little pissant Ukraine versus a powerhouse US. So the way we look at it is like, well, you could walk away and go find another country that will back you, because the matter of fact and the fact of life is that you're nothing without the U.S. And I'm all for, and I've been saying this for a long time now, even before this whole meeting with Zelenskyy, I've said it before that I'm all for Russia to steamroll through Ukraine and just get it over with, because I'm done with dealing with all these things that we need to not worry about. Like, we don't need to worry about Ukraine. We don't need to worry about Gaza, right? Like, let Israel just handle their business and then be done with it, right? That's two conflicts that can be handled with ease if we're not involved, right? Like, we're involved because Biden got us involved. But if we pull ourselves out, that stuff would be done with. Israel would take care of Gaza in whatever ways that, you know, we wipe our hands clean. Are any U.S. lives lost? Nope. Ukraine, same thing. If we pull ourselves away completely, like no involvement in anything, wipe our hands clean, more likely Russia will steamroll in there and just crush the Ukraine regime. And any lives lost for U.S.? Nope. All right. Then we're good. All right. So That's the way I look at it. So so Zelensky in UK after a tense meeting. So he flies over the UK after that tense meeting. So let's see what happened here.
This morning with the very latest about Ukraine as you are taking a live look from London as Ukrainian President Zelensky is set to meet with European Union leaders for a continuation of their defense summit. The summit also includes.
All right, so they did that. All right, I'm going to try to jump ahead of this. And let's see here. Let's go look at this right here. I think this would be a better one to look at. So they had their meeting. So let's jump to this.
To strengthen our relationship with America, an indispensable partners in defence and security. And it's why this weekend I've been hosting European leaders here in London to work together for the security of the United Kingdom, Ukraine, and Europe as a whole. Through my discussions over recent days, we've agreed that the UK, France, and others will work with Ukraine on a plan to stop the fighting. Then we'll discuss that plan with the United States and take it forward together.
What?
The purpose of today's meeting was to unite our partners around this effort, to strengthen Ukraine and to support a just and enduring peace for the good of all of us. Our starting point must be to put Ukraine in the strongest possible position now, so that they can negotiate from a position of strength. And we are doubling down in our support. Yesterday evening...
Wow, I mean, like, it took them this long to support and double down on support. Like, where were they before all this happened, right? Like, where were they all this time when U.S. is throwing billions in Ukraine? Like, they were supposed to step it up, I guess you could say a couple years now, and then now they come out of the woodworks to supposedly help.
The UK signed a £2.2 billion loan to provide more military aid to Ukraine.
See, £2.2 billion loan. I'm going to have to do a conversion of this. Let's see here. 2.2 billion British pounds, right? British pounds to dollars. Let's see how much that comes out to. So 2.7 billion. All right. So they said that they given them a 2.7 billion dollar loan. All right, and that's converted as 2.7 billion.
Backed not by the British taxpayer, but by the profits from frozen Russian assets. And today I'm announcing a new deal which allows Ukraine to use £1.6 billion of UK export finance to buy more than 5,000 air defence missiles, which will be made in Belfast, creating jobs in our brilliant defence sector.
Wow, where was all
this?
This
will be vital for protecting critical infrastructure now and strengthening Ukraine in securing the peace when it comes. Because we have to learn from the mistakes of the past.
Let me see some here. How much have we given to Ukraine? Let's look that up. How much has USA... Look at that. US... Someone's already asked a question. Given to Ukraine. That's just a fraction. Look at that. It is calculated U.S. spent $119 billion on aid in January 2022 to 2024. This one says Congress appropriated $174 billion. Damn. But meanwhile, UK or British just only issued 2.7 billion pounds or dollars. That's like a tiny little fraction of what US has given. Look at that. US has given a shitload more All right, and that's all they're going to give, and it's just a loan. What kind of shit is that? All right. Well, our shit should be a loan too. I mean, that's for the reason why we're going in for the minerals. All right. So I guess part of the mineral deal is that if the deal is signed to go after these rare precious earth minerals, or whatever, and that means that there would be U.S. companies digging this stuff up. So that means U.S. people were going to be there. So of course there's going to be U.S. protection there to protect our people, and I guess you can make sure that Russia doesn't try to push boundaries and push the lines and try to do some okey dokes and all that stuff. And so that's the part that Zelensky didn't understand, that with this deal comes with the security, not this whole thing with you got to send more, you got to send more, right? Like, if there's no deal, there's no security. You know what I'm saying? Like, but that was the point that Trump was trying to hammer home this whole time. That Zelensky wasn't understanding. Maybe there's a language barrier. I mean, but I know there's an interpreter, right? A translator and interpreter. So I don't know. It's just kind of like, you know, it just seemed like Zelensky wasn't really trying to broker a deal, but more about self-serving, as Democrats do, for more money and more of things, and not necessarily striving for peace. Because look at it. He's not apologetic for his rudeness, and he's not thankful. He had been told, probably by many people after being thrown out of the White House, to be said, okay, do you understand that you should be thankful for all that we've done so far? That the difference between how you had nothing and that all our money and missiles and all that stuff, defense, has really helped them stand their ground at least. I mean, look at it. The fighting goes on between Ukraine and Russia, but yet, when you look at it, they have stood their ground with just U.S. support alone. Right? Think about that. But it does beg a differ, like, all that money that's been sent to Ukraine, like, where is it? And he's asking for more. Like, and then when you see what Britain, or UK, sorry, what UK is sending over, a tiny little fraction, how long is that going to last? And then it makes you wonder, how far can 2.7 billion stretch? In terms of usage for Ukraine. Because if that little bit of money goes pretty far, that makes you ask more questions like, wow, so all that let's just say 170 billion that's been sent to Ukraine in the last 2 years, since 2020, well, 2.5 years, let's say 2.5 years. Now, where does all that money go? That's a lot. I mean, when you think about it, and yet they're still asking for more. So, I don't know.
We cannot accept a weak deal like Minsk, which Russia can breach with ease. Instead, any deal must be backed by strength. Every nation must contribute to that in the best way that it can, bringing different capabilities and support to the table, but all taking responsibility to act, all stepping up their own share of the burden.
Shit. The fuck were you at before, man? Now they're stepping up when U.S. is threatening to just like be done with this, right? All of a sudden. So if we pulled this move a couple years ago, and you look at it that way, right? Maybe UK and other European quote unquote allies would have stepped it up a lot sooner than now when this whole deal is about to fall apart, right? What kind of shit is that? Fuck out of here.
So we agreed some important steps today. First, we will keep the military aid flowing and keep increasing the economic pressure on Russia to strengthen Ukraine now. Second,
all this is unnecessary if they come to a peace deal, right? Like when it comes to the so-called military escalation that the UK here is trying to supposedly bring. Let's see what.
Agreed that any lasting peace must ensure Ukraine's sovereignty and security.
Okay.
And Ukraine must be at the table.
Yep.
Third, in the event of a peace deal, we will keep boosting Ukraine's own defensive capabilities
All right, go ahead.
to deter any future invasion.
Go ahead.
Fourth, we will go further to develop a coalition of the willing to defend a deal in Ukraine and to guarantee the peace.
Okay.
Not every nation will feel able to contribute, but that can't mean that we sit back. Instead, those willing will intensify planning now with real urgency. The UK is prepared to back this with boots on the ground and planes in the air.
Go ahead.
Together with others.
All right, go ahead.
Europe must do the heavy lifting.
Finally.
But to support peace in our continent and to succeed, this effort must have strong US backing. We're working with the US on this point after my meeting with President Trump last week.
We have no skin in the game to be a part of this madness. All right, if they want to beef up their military and airplane presence, all right, boots on the ground and all that, go on ahead. We don't need to. We should have zero boots on the ground. Well, maybe a little bit of boots on the ground if we have, contractors and companies to extract these rare earth stuff. But outside of that, we got zero in terms of, being in the way of doing anything unless Russia attacks Americans. That's it. Other than that, we're not trying to defend Ukraine at all. We're just here for the companies that are supposedly going to be established within Ukraine, and that is it. So get the fuck out of here.
And let me be clear. We agree with the President on the urgent need for a durable peace.
Yep.
Now we need to deliver together. Finally, we agreed that leaders will meet again very soon to keep the pace behind these actions and to keep working towards this
I want to see a face-to-face with Putin here.
Shared plan. We are at a crossroads in history today. This is not a moment for more talk. It's time to act, time to step up and lead, and to unite around a new plan for a just and enduring peace. Thank you.
All right, whatever. All right, I say Zelenskyy should wake up and now realize what's going on here. No matter what, as Trump says, we got all the cards, and your hand is a losing hand. You could leverage all you want. You're not going to get shit. All we're here to do is to broker this peace deal, recoup some of our money back through this rare earth minerals, and Russia will do their part to keep themselves at bay. And I understand Russia's problem, all right, because their problem is this threat of NATO going into closing in on Russia, all right? So they're kind of, in a sense, entrapping themselves and closing territory towards Russia when if you go into history, that wasn't supposed to be the case where NATO is supposed to expand as close to Russia as they've been. This is the reason why Russia has acted in terms of taking over Crimea and I forgot what the other area they took uh, during the Democrats' presidency, right? And Ukraine's a part of that whole Eastern European bloc. That was once part of the Soviet Union, by the way, that Russia seems to be trying to reestablish in terms of the countries that were a part of Russia and the Soviet Union. But, it's just funny how it is. Russia is just trying to beef up their areas to stave off NATO's expansion, right? Because they don't want none of that encroaching upon this large, country. Anyhow, that's enough of that shit. Let's move on. All right, so we're gonna move on. Look at this here. Text shows wildfire coordination by former LAFD. So this would definitely
we begin with break.
this would definitely destroy Karen Bass's, I guess you could say, her explanation as to what Crowley supposedly didn't do, right? Because Bass is trash, right? So let's see what Crowley has to say about this here.
Breaking news, Mayor Karen Bass now responding after newly obtained texts spell out the moments before and during LA's wildfire disaster, all pointing out how the emergency was handled by the mayor, the city council, and former fire chief Kristen Crowley, as this week Crowley is expected to learn if she will be able to reclaim her job. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Kathy Barrett.
And I'm Jonathan Gonzalez. Our NBC4 team has been diving through these text messages, which paint a clearer picture of how city leadership and emergency officials first react.
So before we go into this, Karen Bass used Crowley as a scapegoat to fire her, to deflect who's at fault here, because we all know with everything that has ensued, LA was like toast in essence, because they didn't have water, they didn't have anything, they had budget cut, they didn't have anything to really fight off this large, massive wildfire that they never expected. I don't think they never expected to be this big in the first place. But at the same time, you got to be prepared for all these things. But LA wasn't in general, and you can't blame the fire chief for that. That's a LA city leader mistake for not staying on top of all that. I mean, why wasn't the Department of whatever that Department of Water, whatever they're called, that's supposed to have that reservoir at full capacity, could have been, but because the lid was torn and that was supposed to be repaired like a year ago, but yet it hasn't been repaired and has stood empty ever since. Like, what kind of shit is that? You know what I'm saying? Again, that's LA leadership. But the Department of Water, or whoever the head of that is, I don't know what they call that, but that person should be fired. Because why wasn't the repair work done? Right? So, just saying, only because she spoke up, she got fired. Made Karen Bass look bad. But Karen Bass looks bad anyways because she sucks. The DEI bitch.
When the wildfires broke out and their decisions in the hours that followed.
Our Camilla Rambaldi joins us live from the newsroom with more about what we're learning and also the response from the mayor. Camilla.
Jonathan and Kathy, we're talking about 356 pages of those text messages that show the back and forth between Kristen Crowley and other city officials on their plans ahead of the windstorm. These texts also show the communication sent out on the night of January 6th ahead of those high winds that were expected in just hours before the Palisades fire broke out. We're going to show you some of those key points of that communication thread right here. Back on January 6th, LA City Emergency Manager Carol Parks sent Crowley and LAPD Chief Jim McDonald this text saying that her office set up a level 3 emergency operations center in wake of those strong winds and dry conditions. Parks wrote, quote, should conditions necessitate us elevating the EOC status, the three of us will need to remain in close contact, end quote. It was then about 12 hours later the Palisades fire broke out, and in another text message exchange on that morning, the Palisades fire broke out at 10:30 a.m. Tony Maroney, chief of the LA County Fire Department, had texted a picture of the smoke plume saying, quote, not good. That was at 11:18 a.m., less than 45 minutes after the Palisades fire broke out. Now, in another text message from January 7th, Kristen Crowley wrote to the fire chief of the LA County Fire Department, the Orange County Fire Authority, and Ventura County Fire, quote, anything else you can send us, we will take it. Starting to lose homes and people trapped, end quote. Now, this text was sent at 12:02 p.m., a little over 90 minutes after the Palisades fire broke out. Now, it is important to note from these specific text messages that we have obtained, the direct communication between Crowley and Mayor Karen Bass appears to be limited. Again, this is only from what we see in these text messages. This does not include communication that may have occurred outside of the texts by phone calls or by other means. NBC4 has reached out to former LAFD Chief Kristen Crowley's communications team. We are being told Crowley will have no further comment before Tuesday's City Council meeting, and that hearing, Crowley is scheduled to appeal her termination. She needs 10 council members to side with her to be reinstated. And I also spoke to Mayor Bass's communications director, and within the past 10 minutes, he sent us this statement, and it reads, quote, these documents show that in the day leading up to the fires, Chief Crowley was not in text contact with the mayor or any member of her staff regarding the coming weather event until after the fires had already broken out. Before other major weather emergencies, the mayor, or at minimum, the mayor's chief of staff, has received a direct call from the fire chief flagging the severity of the situation. This time, that call never came, end quote. Again, there are 356 pages of text messages that we are diligently looking through, and we'll continue to bring you updates coming up right here at 6 p.m. and at 11 p.m. That is the very latest in the newsroom. Camilla Rambaldi, NBC4 News. I'll send it back to you.
Whatever. I still think that Karen Bass is scapegoating Crowley, and I don't know why Democrats can just never accept any responsibility for anything. I just never. I don't get it. It's just funny to say, you know what, I should have been better prepared. I shouldn't have flown. I mean, I think she said that she shouldn't have went to Ghana had she had known all this other crap. But too little, too late on that part. Even though you campaigned on not going to travel and all that. But anyhow, accept responsibility. Just say, you know what, we weren't prepared for this. I dropped the ball. I got nothing to blame but myself. No one else. We should have been better prepared for this. I'm going to do the best I can to make sure that we could get back on our feet. I will do, I'll work with the city council. I'll work with our budget. If I got to do cuts in areas that, we shouldn't worry about, like, I'll say it their way, undocumented immigrants, right, that have come through. If we have to cut those services, we'll cut those services to undocumented immigrants. Although that, we are a sanctuary city, I know these cuts will hurt bad, but we have other priorities right now that we must shift towards. to that soften the blow for the progressives, just about these illegals, right? Um, and we will look into other areas, and also we'll also talk to the governor about further funding in terms of recovery efforts for our beloved city of Los Angeles and other parts of the county. And it'll sound better that way, right? If Bass would say that, but no, she won't take the blame. She won't accept any responsibility, and she'll have that stupid smirk on her face all the time, and just act like she's above it all, and that's why Bass is trash. All right, so screw that bitch. Let's see here. What else we got going on? I think there was something else I noticed here. So we talked about those. There was something else I saw too. Let me see here. Saw something here. Man, what was it? I saw something. There was like one other thing that I took notice to. And I was like, oh, okay. I can't find it. Let's see, middle fingers, and I see a finger gun there. Look at this. Zelensky says Ukraine's ready to sign rare minerals with U.S. Really? I won't believe it till I see it. All right, so man, where was it? I saw something here. Oh, look at this. Zelensky could be dethroned after tense Trump meeting. Here's my thought. I'm gonna go back to that. All right. Let me see here. There was something else I saw. AOC's looking good there. She's trash too, but she's looking pretty good right there. All right. All right. Whatever. Here's my final thoughts on this Zelensky thing. All right. That's the part he's scared of. He's scared of being dethroned. That's what it is. He's scared of peace. Because Republicans are not, these neocons that are all about the military industrial complex. All right. Plus, we're trying to wipe our hands clean with all this shit. We're trying to rein everything in. And sorry, Zelensky, we never needed you in the first place anyway. So the ball is in our court. All right. And what are you going to do about it? You know what I'm saying? So let's see here. Zelensky could be dethroned after tense Trump meeting. I don't even think he'll even apologize. That's the thing he needs to do too, is apologize. But even that, he's not going to apologize. So it's just funny how that is, of how these progressive type leaders are, right? They're arrogant. They don't realize that they all think alike in terms of this selfishness and self thinking that they do, where all they think about is themselves and not really about what's best for their people, for example, right? It's only their self-interest. And so with that, let me know what you think about all that stuff, and we'll go on from there. And so, yeah, comment down below, and well, let me see what else we got here before we go. But yeah, subscribe to my channels, all right, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Rumble, whatever is more convenient for you, all right. I will be thankful for that support. All right, that's enough for me today. Other than that, I'll see you next one.